Today on the show we have Bert Baum, and Bert Baum is with Third Mutual. He's one of their board members. He's going to talk about a few different things. One of them is they've got a couple new board members. We're going to talk about committees and also alterations. Then Dr. Christine Chung and Dr. Chuck Lee will be here from 7-Day Dental, and their subjects are going to be, one, why is it that whenever you go to the dentist you need an x-ray, and how often do you really need that? We have a candidate running for Orange County Sheriff, and that is Mr. Duke Wynn. He is currently up in the DA's office in Los Angeles, so he's going to tell us why he is running for sheriff here in Orange County, and then we're also going to bring you a segment from Breastling. Now, as far as meetings go today, GRF has their Media and Communications Committee meeting, and that will be at 1:30 in the boardroom. So now let's get to the drizzly weather, and I'll tell you, it kind of feels like fall out. There's a low pressure system. Originally, this was going to come in Monday into Tuesday, and it dropped down a little bit sooner. Not a lot to it except the cooler temperatures and this ongoing drizzle. We're not getting much out of it at all. The center of this is really off to our east. Now there's a high pressure system that is going to work its way down, so as we go through the week, things will get warmer really once we get to about Thursday or so. You can see we're going to be in the 60s today and tomorrow. Overcast with light drizzle today. There's a slight chance of sunshine later in the day. And then mostly cloudy in the morning, then some sun tomorrow, then partly cloudy as we go through the rest of the week and get a little bit warmer. Maybe when we get to next weekend, we might be back up into the mid-70s, but you know, in reality, normal temperatures usually are about 76, 77. So we've been below normal for, for several days now. Let's look around Orange County and elsewhere. Things are pretty cool all over, at least for May, and going to be really in the low to mid-60s, depending where you go in Orange County. And Lake Arrowhead, 54 degrees. Even Palm Springs, chilly out there at 85 degrees. So overall, a May gray day. That's going to continue. And I kind of like the drizzle, although it kind of feels like fall, doesn't it? All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Diane's Hallmark is a family-owned Gold Crown store that is much more than just a card store. Our women's department has apparel, accessories, and jewelry featuring Vera Bradley and Bagalini handbags. Our religious department carries many different Christian books and Bibles, plus a great selection of Christian gifts. Of course, we have a large selection of cards and gift wrap as well. Come in and experience our personalized service.
Hey Laguna Woods, it's Ken.
And Lisa.
Did you miss an episode of This Day? Not to worry. Head over to youtube.com and search Village Television.
Here you can find each episode of This Day and other community programs such as Good Day OC, Discovering Laguna Woods, and much more.
Just click the red subscribe button, then click the bell to be emailed every time we upload a video.
Don't miss out.
And subscribe today.
Dental health is important, and it can be tough to find the best fit for your needs. Flora Stenger General and Specialty Dental Practice covers most of my dental needs in one location. Their on-staff specialists provide seamless services and communication between me, my doctors, and my insurance company. Located right down the road from Laguna Woods, our bus service stops right in front of their building. For the first time, I'm getting the dental care I need with the treatment I deserve.
And my dental health has never been better.
Call and book your first appointment today. I'm glad I did.
When you travel with AAA, you get more than a vacation. You get exclusive AAA member benefits, special offers on unforgettable experiences, and the travel planning knowledge of your own AAA travel agent. When you travel with AAA, you get the vacation of your dreams. To save on a pleasant holidays vacation, visit your local AAA travel agent today.
And with me is Bert Baum. He is, of course, the board secretary for Third Mutual. And today we got a lot of different topics we're going to touch on. And the first one is, first, welcome. Nice to see you.
Nice to be here.
You have a couple new board members.
Yes.
And they replaced a couple folks who had to leave the board.
Yes, and I'd like to say we're really happy to have them on board. And we're also happy that we had 5 candidates for 2 positions. And that's a good sign because we want people to run for the board, to be board members. It's a really interesting, unique experience. So if you have any interest, we would encourage you to do it because we're having an election, a regular election, coming up in September. And these are for 3-year terms.
Okay.
The 2 people who were elected now by the board are replacing board members who have left, and they're for a 1-year term, which will end in October of 19.
Okay.
The first one is Kush Bada. That's B-H-A-D-A. We call him Kush. Really interesting man. He has been active in the community. He was on an executive on the Indian Club. He has a broad background in hotel management and real estate. He's been a business development manager. He started his own firm and has been a volunteer in various organizations. And we think he's going to lend a lot to the board. He has a lot of insight, asks good questions. And the second man is Jack Connolly. He has a PhD. He's lived here for 2 years, and he has a broad background. He's been an executive on various social agencies in Chicago. He headed up the Jobs for Youth in Chicago for 20 years. He's been a teacher, and he's been a member of a condo board for 8 years. And I will tell you that in our first meeting that we had a closed meeting. Both of these members really joined the discussion and brought up some really good points. So we're really encouraged. We think we have a good board, and we think these people will contribute too. The second thing that happened at a recent board meeting was we had recognized Gary Bain. It's B-A-I-N. He's a building captain in Third Mutual in the 3-story buildings. And what he discovered was that there was asbestos in the building on one of the floors, and it was traced back to some construction work that had been done. He alerted security, as people should do, and we encourage people when they see something like that, call security, call compliance is what he did, and everyone really swung into action immediately. It was a good example of how we could work together. We have a new woman who's in charge of our communication. She's a new communication manager. Her name is Eileen Paulin. She's doing a really good job. And she and our new chief operating officer, Shobin Foster, immediately alerted by mail and by direct contact all the people in the 3-story buildings. This was 5518. There are 24 people, 24 manners in that building. Each one was alerted about this asbestos exposure. It was cleaned up. They investigated each of the manners and discovered, fortunately, that it had not spread. I think Gary and building captains in general deserve a lot of credit. You know, the 3-story buildings have these building captains. These are volunteer people who actually belong to the GVA Association, which is the Garden Villa Association, under the direction of Lynn Jarrett, who is, I guess, the mother hen of the Garden Villa Association. And they monitor what's going on in these buildings and perform a very valuable service. And then we had another outbreak at 3243 with very similar results. Fortunately, this did not spread. But what it did is it really made us feel, well, we have to do something beyond just responding to the emergency. We have to alert people that this danger really exists and how to prevent it and what to do when it occurs.
So is the asbestos throughout these three-story buildings that were in the insulation? Where did this come from?
Okay, that's a good question. Let me explain that. There are probably 3 places where you would find asbestos. One is in the popcorn ceilings. The second would be in the drywall. Actually, it's in the adhesive for the drywall. And the third could be in the actual tile. Now, you have to remember that these buildings can be close to 50 years old, maybe a little less, but when they were constructed, nobody knew about asbestos and the harmful effects. Now, as long as they're not disturbed, asbestos is not a problem. The problem occurs when it gets into the air and you breathe it. So we want everyone to be alert about this and know what to do.
Okay.
And let me explain. As a result of that, I head up the residency task force, and we asked Kurt Neiman, who is the new manager for alterations, to come and talk to us about the process. And I think all our residents should be aware of what the process is if you want to have an alteration. And they have this flyer, which you can get either downstairs at the desk or at the alteration desk. And incidentally, they're going to move shortly and have their own room, the spruce room. And it tells you all the steps you have to do to go through for alterations. Now, the thing, and this is really important because particularly people who've just moved into the community don't realize just what steps you have to take, what the process involves. And the best way to start is to visit the alterations people at their desk. They're very open to talk to you, to explain what needs to be done. And most of the alterations that you have will require a permit and will require an okay. So the only ones that really don't are the ones where you are not disturbing the structure of your manor or doing any extensive changing. If you're painting or putting in new carpeting, obviously that would not require this. But beyond that, you have to go and speak to them, and there are 2 steps to the process, actually. If, in fact, you meet the standards, and the standards are being revised, I will speak about that in a minute. If you meet the standards, they can give you a consent right at the desk, and you can proceed, provided you have all the right permits. If not, and you want to do something that's not part of the standards, then you need a variance. How do you get a variance? You have to go to our alterations committee, which currently is chaired by Bill Walsh, and ask them for the variance. If they approve, then it goes to the board. So it is a somewhat complex process. And the other thing we want people to be aware of, if you want to hire a contractor, you want to be sure you're hiring someone who is responsible and capable. So you want to make sure they're licensed, and they'll give you the website to check on that they have insurance, that they're bonded with the state. And this is really critical because these alterations, the ones that cause the problem with asbestos, we're quite sure were carried out by contractors who were not registered, who were not abiding by the rules. And as part of that, what Kurt Neiman now has done is to have a mutual consent responsibility even before you begin construction. So and this is a demolition mutual consent. So if in fact your alterations require you to take down a drywall or to remove the popcorn ceiling, then you have to go to the alterations group and get this consent and go through that process.
All right, we got about a minute left, so I know you got a lot of subjects here, but why don't you just get to one that you want to talk about the most.
Sorry about that. Okay, let's look at my list here. I want to talk about water for a minute. Okay. We know that things are getting warmer. It doesn't matter what the reason is. It's getting warmer, and we're going to use more water. And as you know, if you live in California, water is scarce. And what we're asking people to be more aware of water usage, and you pay a price for that. You pay about $35 a month per manor if you live in Third Mutual. That's about 5% of your assessments. And what we're saying is we want you to be careful on water usage. If you water your plants, don't overwater. Be careful about that. We have a whole list of ways that you can conserve on water. We spend $2.5 million a year on our water bills, and because they're not individually metered, then it's a shared cost. So everyone shares in the cost of this. So this is important.
Okay. All right, very good. And of course, if people want to see the latest Third Mutual meeting, it'll be replayed on Wednesday, and that was the meeting from last week. I think it ran just under 3 hours or so.
It was shorter, yes.
Yeah, so that'll be next Wednesday at 6 o'clock if you want to watch that. And of course, if you have any questions about anything you're doing on your manor, take care of that ahead of time. Come to the community center here and talk to the right people.
Right.
So they can help you out and put you on the right path, right?
Good.
All right, good to see you, Bert.
Nice to see you.
Take care. All right, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Desiree from Irvine Subaru, where families come first. As a family-ran dealership, your family's safety is our #1 priority. Come in and find the perfect Subaru from the largest selection of Subarus in Orange County. All models are top safety picks by the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. We offer the ideal balance of safety, performance, and economy. Irvine Subaru, more Subarus, more safety, more performance, more love.
We're a family business. I have my wife, my 2 sons that work in the business with me. So we really actually are a family-run business. We call them our extended family. We do it from the moment they walk into the office. We actually have personal relationships and friendships with our clients.
They're not just a client, they are part of our friends and family.
That's what we do here at Sterling Financial Advisors. We help people get peace of mind and quality of life in retirement.
Hi, I'm Sharon. I am so pleased to welcome you to JTV. We're a 24/7 home shopping network focused exclusively on jewelry and gemstones. And because we believe every woman deserves to be lifted up, we love to help her sparkle, keep her informed, and make her smile. Our viewer is passionate about jewelry and gemstones, and we share her passion. Because of that, she keeps coming back, making us one of the top retailers in the United States. We sell extraordinary products at extraordinary prices. Welcome to JTV.
Well, right now, I'd like to welcome Duke Wynn, and Mr. Wynn is running for Orange County Sheriff. A pleasure to have you on, sir. Welcome.
A pleasure being here. Thank you for the invitations.
First, let's find out a bit about you, your background. I understand that you were a refugee from Vietnam, and you first landed in Malaysia and then made your way over to here, right?
Yes, that is correct. My father was a an officer for the South Vietnam armies. So he was, after 1975, he was captured and he was in camps, POA, prison of war. And when he escaped and left the camp, we left Vietnam about 1980-ish. And we landed in the Malaysian refugee camp. We were there for like a little under 2 years. And then we finally made our way to U.S. in 1981.
And you've been here ever since,
I've
right?
been here in Orange County ever since.
So right now, however, you work up in LA. You're with the DA office, is that correct?
That is correct. I started my law enforcement career with Santa Police Department as a civilianized, and then I went up to LA County Sheriff Department, and I work as a deputy sheriff. So there I did custody, and then I did patrol assignments. And then I went over to the DA office, LA County District Attorney office, and worked as a detective over there.
Okay, so now you're looking to become the sheriff here in Orange County. And I asked him before we went on, and he assured me he lives in Orange County, because I said, is that going to be kind of a commute for you? But no, you have to live down here.
That is correct.
So
yes.
you already got that part taken care of.
Yes.
What are some of the issues? Why are you seeking to become sheriff here?
Well, you know, thank you for asking me that. It's really two things. Number one, as you know, I'm an immigrant, so my kids are growing up here in this, community, in this society, and I wanted my kid to get a fairly treatment, you know, in this society. But at the same time, I see we need changes in our law enforcement personnel, especially our sheriff department. I believe that the sheriff departments right now are outdated how they do service for our community. So the way I look at sheriff department is like almost a customer service. And that's how we provide service to our community. And we should do it in a better perspective. Our community, our citizens deserve better. So I wanted to modernize our police department or our sheriff department, and that's providing body cam for all of my deputies. Whether you're working from in custody or you're working out of patrol, you're gonna wear a body camera. I also look at about being more transparency to our community. The current administration is not doing that, but I want to make sure that I have an open door policy. And lastly, you know, what I wanted to have is community partnerships. It's very important. It's a key to build a better bridge, build a better communication, understanding between our community and our law enforcement personnel. And I want to make sure that we take care of our community. I want to make sure that we outreach our community. At the same time, I want to make sure that we have a good dialogues with our communities. Okay,
one of course, is the biggest, one of the biggest issues right now for communities is the problem with the homeless. Of course, Santa Ana River Trail along the walkways there have been cleaned up. I hear some of them have come back because it was just a temporary program, and that really is the biggest issue as of not only removing the homeless in certain areas. People are talking about right outside our gates here and moving it in their communities and mental health problems, but now what? What's the solution there? I know some of that's beyond the scope of the Sheriff's Department. It's with other agencies, but still you have to work hand in hand.
I absolutely agree, because, you know, in law enforcement perspective, the way I look at it is preventions. So here is the, you know, Judge Carter has found, and after the court proceeding, that the county has over $700 million that money should be allocated to our homeless program. And you touch on the issue that this is the Board of Supervisors' responsibility, and unfortunately they're not doing their job. So then now the sheriff coming in, because we have to make sure safeties and public service, and that's that's a daily activities and a daily duty responsibility of the sheriff department. So I'm hoping that coming in the office, I want to make sure that that money, that $700 million, is spent to getting our homeless into some sort of permanent housing unit. At the same time, you touch a little bit issues about mental health. Mental health is sort of the key of getting our homeless, and not only our homeless, but our regular daily citizens that we respond to call on, is to get them to evaluate. So my plan is to have a MET team, M-E-T, mental evaluation teams. And what they do, they'll go out there and they, with calls of service, whether it's from our homeless calls of service or a regular calls of service, to go out there and help and assist our deputies to better serve, and at the same time to get our citizens the help that they need.
All right. Now, I know you wanted to touch on school security, and sadly, another incident happened again down in Texas. What are some of your thoughts on that? It's a difficult issue because you're dealing, when it comes to gun safety, you're dealing with the Second Amendment, you're teaching federal rules, state rules. What are some of your thoughts on that? Do we need metal detectors in every school, one single entrance to every school?
What we really need is more SROs in our school. SRO is school resource officers.
Okay.
I believe that we need more school resource officers, especially at the high school level, that there should be one dedicated to that school permanently.
Right.
Not what we have now where they run around, they service 5 or 6 schools. We talked about, I'm against having teachers armed, bringing guns to the school campus. That is a totally different entity. That's a totally different issue that we have to address. That's not something that is simple and easy when you have a weapon in the school. So one of the solutions is providing more school resources officer. At the same time, we have to also provide more nursing that allow for mental health to get some of our new kid generation the help that they need, especially identifying the problem early and get them to treatment early. I also want, with the gun we're talking about, I want to make sure that all of our citizens out there who has firearm in their house, that I want to make sure that they go out there and get a safe. We've got to have some sort of a program where allow them to buy a safe and get the gun locked in the safe, not into a bookshelf or cabinets.
I don't think anyone would argue to have an officer stationed at least at the high school level.
Correct.
But along with that is cost, and of course the cost of sheriff services is rising. I forget how many communities use the sheriff as their primary officers. I know a lot in South Orange County, certainly where I live, and here also in this community, and the costs are going up. So how do you balance that to keep the costs in line for the different communities that utilize the Sheriff's Department?
Well, the number one cost of anything else is the pension reforms. I think the pension reform, we have to go back and revisit and find a better solution how to decrease that pension reform. Also, number two, we have to look at how to spend the money wisely. I want to cut the costs by having a hybrid vehicle, because we don't need to spend all this money on a supercharger V10 running around in this community when my management and my staffing are going to regular daily meetings. They don't need that.
They don't still need the Ford Crown
tanks.
Victoria.
Right, big tank. So I talked about converting those to hybrid, and I talk about providing our officers are living closer to our communities, because right now we have a lot of our officers living Riverside and San Bernardino. When the time of disaster is, it's hard to get them across here. So how do we do that? We do that by recruiting them young and then have them stay here, and then look at the pension and probably work with the pension, get our folks to maybe possibly retire sooner.
Okay. All right. Very good. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I want to tell the folks, if you want to find out more about Duke Wynn, who's obviously running for sheriff, it's winforsheriff.com, and you can find out more about his background, his qualifications, his history, and his outlook for the Orange County Sheriff Department. Sir, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
For your time.
We'll be right back.
If you or a loved one are diagnosed with head, neck, or breast cancer, it can be a very concerning and confusing time. Today I have Dr. Nangya, who is one of the only doctors who specializes in head and neck cancer in the area, and also helps patients with breast cancer.
Thank you.
So you specialize in neck and head and breast cancer, all three?
That's correct.
But mostly on head and neck?
Mostly on head and neck.
Tell me a little bit about how that works.
So head and neck cancer is a subset of general oncology, which basically compromises any cancer in the head and neck area. That includes your routine head and neck, which could be your throat cancer, your tongue cancer, behind your eyes, the skin on the face, also your salivary glands, your thyroid cancer. They all come into the umbrella of head and neck cancer. So in the field of medical oncology, I specialize in that specific arena.
Okay.
I also focus on breast cancer.
Okay. Now, when you talk about head and neck, it's covering an awful lot of things. And are they fairly common or not really?
So yeah, I did make it sound like there's a lot in there, but if you look at the incidence, I was just using that comparison earlier, that in an average there's about 250,000 new cases of breast cancer in a year, and on an average there's about 60,000 cases of head and neck cancer, and that included all that exhaustive list that I just said.
Right.
So it is a rare cancer, but having said that, it is very morbid cancer. So never underestimate the damage it can do to the society and to us just because it's rare, because you just need one patient to understand how bad it can be.
Exactly, exactly. And as I mentioned, you specialize in that area, and you're one of the only ones in the area here, correct?
That is correct, and I dwell a lot into clinical trials. I've done a lot of research in the head and neck specific arena, and I'm trying to do even more to move the needle forward for our patients who get stuck with this head and neck cancer.
Let's talk a little bit about the risk factors that are involved.
There are many risk factors for head and neck cancers, but predominantly what historically were the risk factors were smoking, were drinking. Those are the patients we saw when I was in training with heavy exposure to smoking, either firsthand or secondhand, or alcohol and drinking. What has emerged as new risk factors for the last decade or so has been an HPV-related head and neck cancers, and especially in Southern California, that is very prevalent. The national statistics are something like 30% of all head and neck cancers are caused by HPV, but if I really start looking at my own practice, it's about 60% are HPV-related cancers.
Wow. Well, now with HPV, though, you could have some sort of a vaccination. Is that true?
That is correct. So HPV is a sexually transmitted disease, and that's how you contact HPV. HPV exposure is very common, but not all stains of HPV are cancer-causing stains. So there's certain high-risk stains, and if you get that HPV as a sexually transmitted disease, then it takes a decade, 2 decades before you manifest as head and neck cancer.
Right.
And now, thank God, there is vaccination, which is super effective. It is currently recommended for anyone from age 11 to 24 to get the vaccination. The people who are vaccinated, it's almost 90+% effective in eliminating the risk for HPV. But for us who've not been vaccinated, us adults who are more than age 24, the vaccine is not that effective.
Right. So what are some of the things that we should be looking out for if there is a rise in possibly head and neck cancer?
So this more common symptoms are like a sore throat, that's just not going away. There's a lump in your neck and you've taken 1 course of antibiotic, 2nd course of antibiotic, and it's just not disappearing. There's a hoarseness in voice, and I say, oh, your voice sounds different, and it's not a viral, it's more than 3 weeks, it's not going away. Or if you notice in terms of thyroid cancer that you're losing hair, you're way too cold when it's 90-degree weather out there, you're constipated, you're losing weight, those are all symptoms that trigger workup for head and neck cancers.
And you know, some of the symptoms that you're talking about are everyday symptoms.
Yes, and please don't go to your doctor and say that you have head and neck cancer the first week you get a sore throat.
Right.
Please do the routine treatment, but if it does get to be more than that and you've gone through a few courses, then please seek further medical attention.
Okay, all right. And then how do you actually treat head and neck cancer? A variety of different ways?
Yeah, so head and neck cancer is typically treated depending on the stage you have. You can have 4 stages. So early stage cancer, pre-cancers can many times picked up by even routine dentists, that they will pick up a lesion in your mouth or in your gums, you know, or notice something and they will seek attention. Or your regular ENT might pick it up early stages are treated by surgery only many times. And as it starts getting more advanced or more risk of recurrence, then radiation comes in, and then comes in me, which is chemotherapy and different medications we can do in terms of that. Some are targeted drugs. Nowadays we are very much into precision medicine.
Yes.
and a lot into immuno-oncology. So we do a lot of immune therapy directed treatments for head and neck cancers.
Exactly. And you know, I have been hearing an awful lot of the precision medicine that's happening, which is going to help you do your job probably a lot easier.
That is correct, because we currently, our statistics show that with our current treatment options are historical with the chemo, radiation, and now I'm talking about more advanced cancers.
Right.
We have very good success rate if you were non-smoker, HPV-related cancer. What the field is now evolving in is that I know I'll take care of you. I know I'll get you to really survive this cancer, but can I do it while limiting toxicity?
Right.
Can I achieve the same results by limiting toxicity and thus having a less impact on your quality of life? And immuno-oncology really gives us a segue into that.
Right.
These are very effective drugs. They work very precisely for your cancer. And what I really like to say is that it's a drug that tries to turn your own body into a cancer vaccine.
Exactly, exactly. Now, we didn't really touch much about breast cancer, so let's talk a little bit about that in particular, since we've been focusing more on head and neck. What are some of the advances that you're seeing in treating breast cancer?
Again, in breast cancer, a lot of effort is going into targeted drugs. A lot of effort is going into how can we move away from chemotherapy and achieve the same results by limiting toxicity. A huge portion of breast cancer patients are hormone-positive breast cancer patients, and more we are understanding that in those specific subsets, hormone-blocking drugs, which are usually pills, and really work almost as effectively as chemotherapy for the right patient population. And the latest clinical trials that I've been involved with, and we've been doing more and more of, have been combining more than one of the hormone blocking drugs and it's been shown that they can work as fast and as effective as chemotherapies can.
It's just amazing, the advances. And you know, clinical trials, you mentioned quite a bit, that they're really important to have.
Absolutely. This is our biggest contribution to science. This is our biggest contribution to society. And this is what we need to do. We need to go through this process to move the needle forward.
Right.
The drugs we have today, whether it's immuno-oncology, newer hormonal blocking drugs, newer drugs in triple-negative breast cancers, we have them because of contribution for several patients that enrolled to these clinical studies helped us understand the disease process to make changes.
Okay. How do you view survivorship and quality of life with people who have been diagnosed with these types of cancers?
Yes. So there's different graphs of survivorship, and I would say you become survivor the day one you get diagnosed, because day one that you got diagnosed, you survivor day one, you already survived it by one day. So survivorship is very important, and it's important in different aspects. It's a journey you and me are going to take if you unfortunately become my patient by having a cancer, but I would like my patients to experience the least effect on their quality of life, achieve the best results by being more precise, so that when you are at the other end of this treatment plan and the cancer chemotherapies have ended, the drugs have ended, you're not left scarred. You're left with as normal quality of life as you had before it.
Right, and I like what you said about after one day, you've survived the one day. So other than that, what are some other things that you would say to somebody who has been diagnosed and they come to you?
I would say that this is a good era to, there's never a good time to be a cancer patient, but right now with our advances, you should stay optimistic. Always remember positive thinking carries you through. It's always mind over matter. It seems tough, and it is tough to some extent, but it's not unbeatable. It's not unstoppable. Don't let it bring your human spirit down. You will conquer this.
Wonderful advice. I mean, if I am ever diagnosed, I'm coming to you. You have such a wonderful way to look at it in a very positive atmosphere. So thank you so much for being with us. That was excellent information.
Thank you.
All right. If you have any questions or would like a consultation, please call 949-770-0797.
Dr. Christine Chung with 7-Day Dental has served Laguna Woods for 17 years. Her office is close, her staff is the best, and she offers great discounts for Laguna Woods.
I have been a patient of Dr. Christine Chung at 7-Day Dental for 15 years. She and her staff are exceptional.
You may know me from Village Television. I would not go anywhere else for dental care than 7-Day Dental.
7-Day Dental, simply your best choice.
Well, today we're going to ask and get answered the questions that you may have about visiting a dentist. I'd like to welcome from 7-Day Dental. We have Dr. Christine Chung and Dr. Chuck Lee. Good to see you again.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Always great to have you here. We're going to go through some questions here that I think a lot of people have. And I think the first one is, how often do I actually need to visit a dentist? And does it go by age? Does it go by maybe some medical conditions you might have? How do you determine that?
Good morning. Well, the first question is, how old can you see a dentist? We recommend that kids, when they have teeth, you start bringing them to the dentist like 1 or 2 years old.
Okay.
First of all is to get acquaintance to the office, to the dentist, to the staff, to the environment. So as they get older, it's like a routine to them.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
They're
I agree
not
with
scared,
that.
they're not being afraid when they, every time they hear the term dentist.
Yeah.
But generally, we recommend patients to go visit or a regular checkup to the dentist twice a year. However, for patients who has underlying periodontal disease or gum disease, where your gum have bone loss, attachment loss, you would need more frequent dental care from the dental office. I would say every 3 or 4 months instead of 6 months. So 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add on?
Well, I was going to add on, usually babies, their first teeth come in around 6 months. And although we're not going to do anything if the baby comes and visit us, but I think it's a good idea to have your baby boy or girl come in, and we just evaluate and make sure that the teeth are growing correctly. Our daughter was missing a tooth, so we were waiting.
A baby tooth?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She had one that popped in, but the other one never popped in. Yeah. So it's always good to make sure that the teeth are growing correctly. Although we may not do anything, we would just look and see, and then the baby goes home. But sometimes we may have to take an X-ray, like in my daughter's case, to see if there is a baby tooth coming in.
Yeah, but you make a very good point, bringing a child in or bringing a baby in, because getting them used to doing that, it relieves any kind of anxiety they may have about going to the dentist or doctor. It really doesn't matter, but they get used to it. This is a routine that I'm going to start doing. Yeah.
Right.
You know, having practiced for many years, over 25 years, I've seen that kids or parents that go regularly to the dentist, or they train their kids to go to the dentist regularly, they usually don't have problems. They have less problems. They have less cavities. They have less gum problems.
Yeah, interesting.
And the people that usually have no cavity, that they never go to the dentist, and then they come in after 10 years, 5 years, and they usually have some type of gum disease.
Okay.
And it's usually very aggressive then, because you have to do a lot more, and I've seen that. So I think it's really good to get the kids to go regularly, and then as they grow older, they'll remember to go regularly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I want to add another misconception is that, oh, I don't have insurance, and I feel like my teeth are fine, I don't need to go to the dentist. But I think I need to stress it's important that you do go see the dentist regularly. Sometimes you feel like you don't have pain, you don't have any sensitivity, but plaque only takes 24 hours to build up, and if you don't take care, you don't have optimal hygiene at home, it might get calcified or it gets hardened,
Right.
you cannot brush it out. So you have to go to the dentist. We do x-ray, we do checkup, and we have hygienists or dentists. They do cleaning for you, and that's regular maintenance of the gum. And it's just so important. Even if you have to pay out of pocket because you don't have insurance, it's still important to go to the dental office regularly instead of saying that, oh, I don't have insurance and there's nothing wrong with me, so I'm going to skip this year or I'll see you next year.
All right. Now, the whiteness of teeth, people want nice looking teeth. They may have perfectly healthy teeth, but they're not the color that they want. They're not as bright as they want. Tell me about the proper way, if somebody wants whiter teeth, what is there the right way to do it? Are some of these kits you hear about, are they safe? And is it something that somebody can do regularly? Tell me about the best way to do that.
Yeah, that's a good question, because most of the time when the patient come in, their first question would be, I like to have my teeth whitened. I like to have a celebrity teeth. And so everybody wants white teeth.
Yeah.
So there are two types of stain or discoloration. One is called intrinsic or extrinsic, which is the stain that's outside. It can be polished off,
okay,
or it can be bleached, or the stain that it's internal, and that we would have to improve on doing by stripping off the enamel and do veneers and do crowns, and that's would be a more permanent restorations.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, when a patient comes in, our philosophy is always, let's try teeth whitening.
Mm-hmm.
Teeth whitening now works for all patients, from any kind of brown stain, yellow stain, or even gray stain. Now, the brown gray stain is going to be harder to remove. However, if you whiten your teeth, it will remove, but it's just maybe not as much as you like it to remove.
Okay.
So that's the misconception, some teeth don't whiten at all. No, that's not true. They do whiten, it's just not to the level we like.
Okay.
So there's three types. The first one is the in-office, where you sit there for an hour and it's a Zoom and we have the light goes on, or you stay there, we put the gel on, we put the protective dam on the gum, and you relax for about an hour. That's one way. The second way is the take home, where you get custom trays, or we have the 7-day dental one where you can wear it, and it's a vibrating light, and it's a zero sensitivity. You could do that, or you can go to the store and get the very inexpensive Crest White strips or something like that. The only thing is, the take over the counter is going to be very low dose, so it's not going to work as fast and as effective. So a lot of patients, they always like to try out that first, and if they see some results, then it's a good idea to go to the dental office and get a professionally done, where the dentist is monitoring the teeth whitening process.
All right, we got just a little bit of time left, and I want to get to a question I think a lot of people have. Why is it that I need x-rays when I go to the dentist, and do you need it every single time? Like, say you go every 6 months or something like that.
Well, dental x-ray, the exposure is very, very minimal. Some patient think that with x-ray, regular x-ray, they will get exposed to the radiation, but actually it's very, very small. And now that we have digital, digital in all our 4 offices, the radiation is insignificant.
Right.
And we recommend once a year, but for patients who have high prone risk of caries, then maybe every 6 months, because during the 6-month period, a dental cavity can develop.
Okay.
And we can catch right away when it's a small cavity. It's just a simple filling versus crowns or root canals.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for kids between up to 18, we recommend usually every 6 months. And adults at 18 above, we recommend once a year.
Okay.
But I've seen where, as I've said before, adults now, after they hit 40 and above, we're on some type of medicine, high blood pressure, cholesterol, And in those kind of patients, you're going to develop more of a dry mouth. And it's where you have, that's a side effect of taking medicine. And when you have dry mouth, you're going to get more accumulation of plaque around the teeth, around the gum and the teeth, and it's harder to brush and clean it. So at that point, I recommend maybe x-rays every 6 months for those patients to make sure that we're not developing any new cavities.
All right, that makes sense. I want to tell everyone that you folks, if you don't know, are located right over the Willow Tree Center, the ever-changing Willow Tree Center, the ongoing, which is good. Everybody's getting a nice refreshed look over there.
Yeah.
And online is 7daydental.com, and then you can click on where the location here in Laguna Woods. Thank you very much for coming on. And I love these questions that we talk about.
And you know what? Because of Mother's Day in May, we're running a promotion for bleaching. It will be 50% off, and we might run to June for Father's Day.
Father's Day, you got to be equal, right? All right. Good to see you. Thank you very much, Christine.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Take care. We'll be right back. Do you guys do?
Looking for a change of scenery? You don't have to play golf to enjoy all that 19 Restaurant and Lounge has to offer. From a delicious breakfast menu to our delectable lunch and dinner specials. At 19 Restaurant and Lounge, there is something for everyone. Relax with your friends and family and take in the beautiful view from our spacious patio. Or enjoy a cocktail and appetizer in our lounge. 19 Restaurant and Lounge is a great place to socialize, enjoy a meal, or simply take in the view. Join us 7 days a week and experience Laguna Woods' exclusive dining experience.
I hope you have a great day today.
Oh, I respect it.
There's your meals, and we'll see you later.
Thank you very much for coming.
Bye-bye.
This is Age Well Senior Services. Won't you make it yours?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sean Thomas. Welcome to Sports Talk. Come join me here every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. for sports highlights, tournament news, and interviews for Laguna Woods residents and around the world. Hey, maybe even Broadway. It's a beautiful day for a ball game. Put it on your calendar. Thursday mornings, a great way to start your day with me and the Sports Talk way. Or even a triple's okay. I'll see you then.
And our movie coming up today is very fitting, considering they just had the royal wedding, is Paddington 2. I love the Paddington movies. Paddington, is now happily settled with the Brown family and a popular member of the local community. He picks up a series of odd jobs to buy the perfect present for his Aunt Lucy's 100th birthday, only for the gift to be stolen. This is, once again, very well done. I think the stories are great, the movies are great, and obviously this is great for the whole family to watch. So this is today. It's 103 minutes, so it's not very long, of course rated PG. And Ben Winslow is in this, Hugh Grant is in this. It's got a very good cast. Sally Hawkins is in this. She was just up for an Academy Award for another movie that she did. So it's got the whole cast is back again for Paddington 2. Now our Friday movie, very different movie. Dakota Fanning stars in Please Stand By, about a young autistic woman who runs away from her caregiver in order to boldly go and deliver her 500-page Star Trek script to a writing competition in Hollywood. So that'll be our movie on Friday. And the adventure is full of laughter and tears. And Dakota Fanning plays this part, as I said. It says she goes out there with the guiding spirit of Mr. Spock. It is there for us to conquer, not to fear. That's the movie. Very different movie. I've seen just a little bit of it. Toni Collette also stars in this. I think we'll enjoy it. Dakota Fanning, great actress. So that'll be on Friday. Good movie. Please stand by. And our weather, well, going to be I would expect some drizzle throughout most of today. So we get to the later afternoon. Now the forecasts do show some sunshine coming through. We'll see. This isn't much of anything. This low pressure system is a very weak system, but it is bringing in some moisture along with it. And believe it or not, out in the thunderstorms are possible, not here, but out in the desert communities and up in the mountains. As we begin to warm up throughout the day, that's when that is possible. Again, they're not going to be much of anything. As we go forward, mostly cloudy tomorrow morning, then it'll start to clear up. And then going forward Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, still way below normal, probably about 5 to 6 degrees below normal. We're going to stay in the low 70s throughout the week. And the weekend coming up next weekend looks a little bit warmer. Around Orange County today, everything is in the mid to upper 60s. Arrowhead about 54. And Palm Springs about 85. So I kind of like the weather. It feels like fall, doesn't it? All right, coming up tomorrow, we are going to have a doctor from the Saddleback Medical Center, also another gentleman running for Orange County Sheriff, and Rabbi Joe Mendelson with the Reformed Temple of Laguna Woods. They're having a barbecue that's coming up, and also a segment from South County Lexus. See you then. Bye-bye.